Masechta Avoda Zara Daf Mem Daled Amud Aleph. We're starting from Mem Gimel Amud Beis, the Mishnah. In the previous Mishnah, the Chacham said that we have to destroy Avoda Zara through throwing it into the Yam HaMelech. So now the Gemara is going to bring additional ways how to destroy Avoda Zara. Rabbi Yossi says, one who finds Avoda Zara when it's made out of metal, sheichek v'yirul eruach. He grinds it and he throws it into the air. That's how you fulfill Abid to Abdun, destroying the Avoda Zara. And the Oy Matlayam, or he throws it into the sea. Amrullah, the Chacham say it's forbidden to do so, even to throw it into the wind. Because we have to be concerned that a Yid will have a na. Afhu, nasa zavel, because the grinding and throwing the dust into the air, when it spreads onto the karka, it's used as fertilizer for the karka. And the Yid is having a nash. It says, your hand shouldn't be attached to anything of the spoils of Eir Nedachas, of anything that has to do with the Avoda Zara. So Taisa says that the machlokes between Rabbi Yossi and the Chacham is that when the dust falls into the ground and the vegetables grow, it's coming inside the soil and inside the dust of the Avoda Zara. So in such a case, the Chacham says it's asa, but Rabbi Yossi says since it's zev, Rabbi Yossi holds if it's coming from two causes, then it's going to be mutter. Tanya, we had learned in the Brayso Amalem Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi said to the Chacham, "Aloi kvar nema v'eschatas asher asisem es egel," that you committed the egel, you committed the sin of the egel, and lakach v'asef oisi ba'esh. I took and burnt it in the fire. V'ekes oisi, and I pounded it, tochen heitiv, I grinded it well, ad asher dak la'ofa, till it became so little like the dust. V'ashchas hafarei, and I threw it, v'ashchas hafarei, and I threw its dust, al'anachal hayerid minahar, into the river that came down from the mountains. So from here we see that Moshe smashed and pulverized the golden calf, which was Avoda Zara, and presumably he threw it into the wind. So this shows that just by grinding it and scattering it into the wind is a way of destroying the Avoda Zara. So the chayda we have a rai from Moshe Rabbeinu. This is a kasha the Chacham who say it's forbidden. The Chacham said back to Rabbi Yossi, Mishom Raya, from there is your Raya. Harei hu eina, it says in the pasuk, Vayizer al pnei hamayim, that Moshe took the calf that they had made and burnt it into a fire. Vayash al his bnei Yisrael, and he gave the bnei Yisrael to drink from these waters. So the loin is given over there, the grinding of it wasn't for the purpose of destroying it. Only Ella to make from it dust, Lebeitkin to check out the Yidden Kisaitis like a Saita would be checked out. There were three categories of Yidden who were killed. There were those that were Makam Kabbalas to the Egel, they died by Cherev, by sword. Those that hugged and kissed the Egel died by Magefa. We're in this Gemara talking about the offer that was used for the third category, for those that were happy in their hearts when they saw the people serving the Egel, so they got punished like a Satan, that their stomachs blew up. But how would their stomachs blow up? Only after they drank this water that Moshe Rabbeinu had turned into dust and threw it into the water. From that was to check them, checked out if they sinned in the third category. It was used for the third category of people who inwardly showed that they were happy for the people, for that the egel was being served. Okay. Rabbi Yossi said to the Chachamim, it already says, V'gam Esmach, who was the grandmother of Asa Melech, Hasid Mikvira. Asa Melech removed his grandmother from being a queen. Asher Asa Miflatza La'asher Miflatzes, because she had made Avoda zara of mefletzes, or for the Asheda, she made a form of Avoda zara. And what did Asa do? It says, Vayichas says maflatzta. He chopped her down her Avoda zara, and grounded it up and burnt it in the valley, in Kidon Valley. So according to Rabbi Yosef, we can learn out from the actions of Asa to destroy Avoda zara was to pulverizing and throwing it into the air, because that's what he did with Avoda zara of his grandmother Macha. With his grandmother. So so you see, is a kasha on the chacham who say pulverizing and throwing into the air is not good enough. It's not good because a yid can have enough from it. Realize the chacham said, is it a raya to your words from there? The river of Kidron doesn't grow any vegetables, or there's no vegetation growing there. So although normally it would be usher, but over here it was mate because we weren't worried that vegetation would grow. In fact, there was no vegetation that grew over there. But now we learned in the Mishnah, side the chatois chitzenis and the pnimis, those chatois that were sacrificed inside the heichal and those that were in the azara, the mizbeach chitzein, misav ba'ama. It says that the bloods of these chatois were poured by the foundation of the Mizbeach HaChitzen, and they would mix, the bloods would mix in the channel. So over there, and they would flow out to the Kidon Valley, and it was sold to the gardeners for fertilizer. And there was no din me'ilah, meaning that you were allowed to have anah, you didn't have to redeem it from hegdish. So you see, befedish that there was vegetation growing there because in the Kidon Valley there were these bloods that were bought for fertilizer. So obviously in the valley of Kidon there was vegetation. There were areas and different areas. There was an area where vegetation grew, and there the blood was sold to the farmers who lived over there. And then there were places that there weren't any vegetation growing there. In fact, it says he broke her flatzta. What is that? It signifies that her association with the getchke, with the idol, was extreme, and it was degrading. Like Rabbi Yosef taught, she made this Avoda zara a zachrus, and made it like as if it has the aver. The hoist nevelas like the choyim, and she would cohabitate with this Avoda zara every day. Rabbi Yossi said, Nemar. Al Chizkiah Melech Yehuda, it says about Chizkiah the king of Yehuda, that Chizkiah grounded up the copper serpent that Moshe had made to save the Yidden from the Magefa, and that those that were bitten by a poisonous snake, if they would look at Nechash and Necheshes, they would be healed. So, but later on in Chizkiah's times, they would use it as Avoda zara. They would idolize it. So therefore, he broke it. He disposed of it by grinding it up. So you see, grinding was enough. All he did was he grounded it and he threw it into the ruach. But you see, from there, against the Chachamim, the Chachamim say that's not good enough to destroy the Avoda zara. So the Chachamim said, from there, over there it says in the pasuk, Benegei to the Nechash and the Chisma, that Eibishter told Moshe, make yourself a fiery snake, a serpent, meaning from your own nechasim. It should belong to you. And a person cannot, even by idolizing it, cannot make it into an idol. It's not his. And really, he didn't have to, Chizkiah didn't have to chop it up because it didn't belong to the Yidden. But why did he break it down? Why did he pulverize it? Since Chizkiyahu had seen that the Yidden were idolizing it, he got up and he destroyed it and pulverized it. But really, there was no Isa Avoda Zara because they had no way, they weren't able to designate it as Avoda Zara. It didn't belong to them. It belonged to Moshe. And one cannot answer by designating something to Avoda Zara on something that doesn't belong to them. So Rabbi Yossi said to the Chachamim, but it was already stated by Yaz Hashem Satzabeyam, and the Pelishtim had left their idols there by Yisrael David Anoshel. And it says that over there it's referring to when the Yidden anointed David as a king, and the Pelishtim came and with fighting against him, came to have Milchama with him, and David overpowered them with Baal Partzim. And there it says that they left their idols over there. And it says, and David and his people carried it. My mashma the high by Yisrael David, Lishna the what's the ayah that Yisrael David is mashmois that he threw it into the wind, he pulverized it, and he threw the idols into the wind, the pulverization. Like Rabbi Yosef had touched. Tizreim v'ruach tisayim. That Tizreim means that that he scattered them and the wind carried them away. That he pulverized it, that it scattered, and the wind carried it away. So the Chacham said to Rabbi Yosef, so you see, their pulverizing was enough. That's how David HaMelech got rid of the idols. So the Chacham said to Rabbi Yosef, it says in the Pasuk, and they burnt it in a fire. So it wasn't pulverized, it was destroyed through fire. And from this, that it doesn't say by Yisrael, it doesn't say they burnt it and they carried it together. It says stay from one pasuk, and in another pasuk it says by Yisrael. Shmami, now we can learn out by Yisrael kipshut mamish, that they actually carried it, that they carried from there the Avoda Zara. So you see that it was not done through pulverizing it; it was through burning it. But you still have a steer. One pasuk says that he burnt it, and one pasuk says that they carried it, and carrying it shows that it's mutabana, and burning it shows. And the other pasuk where it says they burned it shows it was asbana. Like Avhuna, Avhuna Rami, Avhuna is the contradiction of the two psukim. Ksiv David, and David commanded by Yisrael B'Eish, and they burnt it in a fire. Uksiv, in another pasuk it says by Yisrael that David and his people carried it. Now, if he told them to burn it, they didn't carry it, and if he told them to carry it, they didn't burn it. Says you want to lay kasha. It's not a kasha. Kan in the pasuk that it says that he commanded to burn it. It's koydem shabbai iti agiti. Till before this plishti came from his city of Giti, Gas, and he was mavatal the Avoda Zara of the plishtim. So there they had to burn it. He looked kan, but in the pasuk where it says they carried the burned stuff is la'ach shabbai iti agiti. After this guy Iti, who came from Gas, came and was mavatal Avoda Zara, so they were already allowed to use it for themselves and have enough. Like it says like we find by a different story of David HaMelech. It says that David had taken the crown of this Getchka of Bnei Amoy, and it says Me'al Reishay, and it says Me'al Reishay meaning from its head, from the head of the Elul Amoy, the Getchka Amoy, the idol Amoy, and the weight was a talent of gold. But was it really permissible for David to wear that crown? It's forbidden to have anah, because it was considered, it was used as for the idol. It was adornment for the idol. I mean, Abnachman, there it's talking about iti from Gas. This guy from Gas came and was mavatale. You're saying that the weight was a talent of gold. How was David able to put it on? It means that it was fit to go on the head, to rest on the David's head. Rabbi Chanina says a different answer. To have a daughter-in-law, that there was a magnet which elevated it, and it didn't feel heavy. That there was a precious stone. It was really a small stone. That it was the equivalent of a talent of gold. He says, this was my schar because I kept to your mitzvahs. I got the mitzvah. What did David say? To what was David referring to? As a reward of watching, guarding your mitzvahs. This crown was to me as a testimony. What kind of a testimony was this crown? That this crown was placed in the place of tefillin, and it fit him. David said, "B'schus that I watched the mitzvah of Hashem, that I heeded the mitzvah of Hashem." This crown was an edus that it was fit to be a king, because it fit his measurements, and this was a tremendous miracle. That even though the Torah was round, and the place where you have where of David's head wasn't round, but the crown was round, and nevertheless it fit exactly on his head. In fact, but he needed that space to place tefillin on it. There was enough place on his head even to put 2 pairs of tefillin. Now, are you going to ask me side by side? No, he brings down from the Mefarshim 2 pairs of tefillin, one in front of the other. It says, "Vayitziyu es Yehoash ben Amelech." There it talks about the story that the mother, meaning the Yehu ben Nimshi, destroyed the whole house of Achav, and amongst them was Achazio ben Yehiram, who was the king of Yehuda. His mother, Atalia, was the daughter of Achav, and Atalia killed the rest of all the children of the Melucha because she wanted to be king. But Yehoash ben Achazi was saved by his sister. Yehishava was the sister of Achazia. She was the wife of Yehoyada HaKohen Gadol, and she hid him in the Beis Hamikdash. Once he reached the age of 7, she crowned him as king. So the Gemara brings down the pasuk. It says, they took out Yehoash and placed the Nezer and the testimony upon him. Nezer zu klila. Nezer is referring to the crown. Eidus, what's the testimony of Rabbi Yehuda Marav? Eidus zu leveis David. It was a testimony to the house of David. Whoever was worthy of kingship, the crown would fit him. Whoever wasn't fit to be king, it didn't fit. He brings down the story about Nio ben Chagis. Nio was the son of David, and the wife, the son of Chagis was the wife of David. He got up to say, "I'm going to rule." And Rabbi Yehuda said, he wanted to put the crown on, and hoping to fit. He tried to make it fit, but it did not fit. Obviously, he wasn't fit for the melucha. And this had made for himself, or provided for himself, chariots, ufarashim, and horsemen. And 50 people were running in front of him. So, in fact, you want to bite over the side, what's the chiddush? Any rich man has that. And in the Gemara Tana, we learned that his was different. All these men, the spleen was taken out from them because the spleen makes it sluggish to run. So they removed it. And they carved out the soles so that they could step on thorn bushes, on thriddles, and not feel the pain. So the Mishnah, Shol Pruklis ben Flusfus, Esam Gamil Birako. It says Bruklus, the son of Fluskus, inquired from Rabbi Gamil that he was bathing in the bathhouse of Aphrodite. Aphrodite was the name of a Getchker. Amalei. So Breitman said to Rabbi Gamil, you shouldn't attach your hands to anything of idols. How are you bathing in this bathhouse of Aphrodite, which is the idols? Amalei. So Rabbi Gamil said to Fruklus, I cannot answer. It's forbidden for me to speak divrei Torah in a place where people are standing naked in the bathhouse. When Gimel went out, Amalei, he said to Fruklus, the bathhouse didn't come in the rishus of the Aphrodite of the idol. He babik vuli. The idol came in my gvul, in the gvul of the Beis HaMerchatz, because the Beis HaMerchatz was there before the idol came around. And the second thing is, it's unusual to make a merchatz as an adornment for Aphrodite, for idol. The normal thing is to make Aphrodite, idol is made to adorn a merchatz, but a merchatz is not something that you adorn something with. That's the second reason why he said he's allowed to bathe in the merchatz. The third reason, even if you will give, if they give you a large sum of money, you would not be able to go to your idol naked, or as being a balkeri, having a seminal mission, or urinating before it. In short, you would not behave in such a bad way to something that you show respect for. Yet this getchke stands at the opening of the sewer line or of the gutter, and all the people urinate before it. And the reason they could do this, because it's not considered as their God. Those that treated as a God, it would be prohibited for them to do what they're doing, to urinate in front of it. Only if it's not revered as an idol, only that's the reason why people were able to urinate in front of it. So it didn't have the chshivas, the importance of an idol. How did Rabbi Gamil do this? How did he answer him this in the Beis HaMerchatz? This answer itself is divrei Torah. This that he said that we cannot answer words of Torah is divrei Torah. How was he allowed to say that in the Beis HaMerchatz? That it says in every place a person could have think about divrei Torah, chutz me Beis HaMerchatz and Beis HaKisei, except you're allowed to think divrei Torah except for a bathhouse or a bathroom. And if you're going to want to say that he spoke in a secular language and that's why he was mutter, things of chayil, meaning secular matters, you're allowed to even speak in the Lashon HaKodesh in the Beis HaMerchatz. And Dvarim Shel Kodesh, but things of sacred matters, you're not allowed to even say them in the Lashon Chayil. So the Brais was told Kishayotza. When he told him that you're not allowed to speak divrei Torah, he said it when he came out of the Beis HaMerchatz. Amalei Eimashim B'Merchatz. He said to Proklus that you're not allowed to answer words of Torah, words of Kedusha, in a bathhouse. He said it to him outside the bathhouse. Rabbi Yosef Beribe means the great, said in the name of Rabbi Oishia. I'm sorry, Tshuva Yenuba, Rabbi Gamil La'oisei Hegmein. That Rabbi Gamil gave her the deceptive answer, the tricky, not an emissary answer to the official. But Rabbi Yosef says disagrees with his teacher. Rabbi Yosef disagrees with the teacher and says, it wasn't deceptive. What was the deceptive part? The Kamaloi, that according to Rabbi Yosef was considered as deceptive. You're saying this idol stands at the opening of the gutter or of the opening of the sewer line. Every person is urinating there. Who cares if they're urinating? Rama said, we have the idol called Peir, and they're and they would defecate every day. Ain't a bottle, and the idol was not this bottle. Rabbi Yosef says, no, it's different. It's not deceptive. By Peir, that's the way it's served. Zu, but the Aphrodite. They didn't serve it by defecating, and since they didn't serve it by defecating, and they defecate, that's disgraceful for the Avoda zara. Abaye said, Abaye says, no, the deception is from here. The Kamalei, I did not come in its domain, meaning the Beis HaMerchatz was there from before. The idol came after the Beis HaMerchatz. But even if the Beis HaMerchatz would have came after, it wouldn't be asavat. Now we learned in the Mishnah, idol that they built a bathhouse in the garden afterwards. You're allowed to benefit from them as long as it's without without any gratification, without any gratitude. But you cannot benefit from them by showing the galachim gratification or gratitude. But I say it's not deceptive. Why not? So he says, because you're saying Taka, Rabbi Gamil didn't show any gratification. But nevertheless, he was a distinguished person, and the mere fact that he went there, it's like others showing gratification, because he caused a whole bunch of other people to come and bring money for the idols. It causes that there should be a lot of money because people would follow and go there. Rav Simon B'chia says the deception was from here. The Rav Gamil said to the proclus, to this guy, your Aphrodite, your Getchke, Zu Emedus Al Habib, is standing at the entrance of the gutter or sewer line. And every person urinates there. Who cares if they urinate? But now we learned in the Mishnah, in order for a guy to be effective in being Mevatel Avoda Zara, if he was Rakba from a Hishtma from a Girira, V'Zarak Boas Hatzaya, if he spit in front of it or urinated in front of it, or he dragged it in mud, and number two, and threw tzaya on it, and threw number two on it, it still doesn't nullify it. So what does it help by saying that it's still Avoda Zara? It's not, the Avoda Zara wasn't his battle. It's not deceptive. The reason why it wasn't nullified, because here it's talking about that he was angry at that time when he did it on the Avoda Zara. And then he makes up with the Avoda Zara, he becomes good friends with it later. But over here by the Aphrodite, it was right at the entrance of the sewer line. So you had the gutter that where everybody keeps on making. So it wasn't only at times, it was constant. And therefore it's not considered as Avoda Zara. The deception is from here. The Kamalei ein emim nase merchatz nela Aphrodite. You don't say that the merchatz becomes an adornment of beautification for the idol. Rather, it makes more sense that the idol became an adornment for the bathhouse. Who cares if you say that the bathhouse was made for adornment for the Avoda Zara? Somebody who designates this house for Avoda Zara or this place for Avoda Zara, it's worthless. because only by hekdesh, if you designate with words, does it become sanctified. But by Avodas Gechavim, if you designate with words, it doesn't become part of the Avodah Zara. So that's a deception, making the Fruskulas think that if he said the merchatz should be an adornment for the Avodah Zara, then the merchatz would be asa. It wouldn't. But just by words, it doesn't become asa. I say it's not deceptive. Even though the merchatz itself doesn't become like an adornment to the Avodah Zara to become asa, but nevertheless, when people wash themselves, so it is an adornment for the Avodah Zara, because washing themselves means like they're purifying themselves to come and serve the idol. So we should answer it because the rechitza is not an adornment for the Avodah Zara, but it could bring somebody to serve Avodah Zara.